Welcome to the part 2 of lecture 5. In this part, we will talk about Granger causality regression model. This is a nice application of regression model to establish some causal statement, and it has also helped us to increase the predictive accuracy of a regression model. One thing we have to always keep in our mind that correlation does not imply causation. However, causation is very important with respect to predictive analytics. Why is so? Suppose we are modeling y as a function of two predictor variable or feature variable x1 and x2. If we know x or x2 has a causal effect on y, then we will be confident about the predictive power of the model. However, if x1 and x2 does not have a causal effect on y, and what we observe a spurious correlation, then model will fail in the live production environment. And we want to avoid such kind of scenario. So therefore, we will always try to find the variable x1 or x2, the variable of feature variable, which has a direct causal effect on y. Such variable, if we know there is a physical relationship between x and y which causes y to move according to the movement of the x, and if we can preempt the move of the x, then we can preempt the move of the y. Then what happens, we our prediction become much better in production environment than the live production environment. In practice, it is difficult to answer causal question. Oftentimes, you have to talk to domain expert a lot to identify possible causal feature variable or the feature variable which may causes your target variable to move. Granger causality can be used to make causal statement, but you have to be a bit careful to make causal statement using Granger causality, but it has some limited capability to make some causal statement. Naturally, Granger causality helps us to understand if one time series is useful of predicting another. Does one time series cause another controlling for lags? This is the question that Granger causality or the Granger causal model tries to answer. Let's resume with basic univariate Granger causality test. And effectively we use regression model for such Granger causality test. Suppose we have two time series yt and xt t equal to 1 to n. We have observed the both values at n different time points. Question is, are lag of x predictive of y, controlling for lags of y? So we fit a model yt equal to beta naught, the intercept, plus beta 1 yt minus 1, beta 2 yt minus 2, plus dot 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 plus beta k yt minus k. So up to this we can clearly say this part of the model is the autoregressive model of order k. Then there is a additional part gamma 1 xt minus 1, gamma 2 xt minus 2 up to gamma k y xt minus k plus epsilon t, where we assume expected value of epsilon t is equal to given ft minus 1 is equal to 0. So what is ft minus 1? Ft minus 1 is the sigma field that is generated by up to t minus 1, or the ft minus 1 summarizes all information up to t minus 1 from both x and y. Then we set up the null hypothesis that gamma 1, gamma 2, gamma k all are 0. If you say gamma 1, gamma 2, gamma k all are 0, That means X does not have an effect on Y. But if at least one of the gamma I is 0, then at least one of the lag of X provides some additional information in terms of predicting Y. And this is standard if tests are available for such kind of regression test. So we run the F test for Granger causality test. So this is typically the model which we call it Granger causal model. How do we choose the number of lags? It is a trade-off between bias and statistical power. With too few lags, we can find residual autocorrelation. The residual will be autocorrelated. That is something we don't want it. We want to avoid that situation. It may gives us a bias test, so we have to be a bit careful. If you find your residuals are autocorrelated, then typically our tests tend to be a bias test. With too many lags, we might incorrectly reject the null due to some spurious correlation. So we don't want to put too many lags and it picks up some spurious correlation and it rejects the null, and that is something we want to avoid. So finding the optimal lag is very important. Question is it causality? If we do a Granger causal test and if we find that yes, test is rejecting the null hypothesis, and we will say that yes, X may have an effect on Y, but is it really causality? From the statistical test, can we conclude that X causes the future movement of Y? There are several potential issues when one is making causal statements. One issue is confounder. There may be some other variable Z or which is correlated with X, and that is the true cause of Y. There could be a lead-lag relationship which creates a feedback loop. Say xt minus 1 actually affects the yt, and then yt affects the xt plus 1. Or on the other way, yt minus 1 affects the xt and then xt affects the yt plus 1. So in that way, lead-lag relationship may occur, and that is oftentimes turns out to be actually happening. And so the then question is, who is causing whom? Or here both x and y causing each other. That certainly we can say, but we have to be a bit careful when we make such statement. And of course, spurious correlation, a correlation between two variables, but it is coincidental, and if you develop a model on a spurious correlation and put it into a production, your model may perform miserably in the live scenario, and that will something we want to avoid. We would like to do a study or application of air quality data, study of air quality data. We consider the air quality data set, which is daily air quality measurement of in New York during May to September, the summer season of 1973. Now this is the temperature. So temperature rises in the Fahrenheit, degree Fahrenheit. Initially in the May, it will be around 60 to 70 degree Fahrenheit, and then it will go around June, July, August. It will be around 80 to 90. Sometime it may drop, but typically it is around the 80 to 90, and then it drops around September. Turns out during the similar time, the ozone level also tend to increase during the summer time, have a tendency to increase. So question is, does temperature has effect on ozone, or ozone has effect on temperature? Actually, typically you will see that ozone does not have an effect on temperature, but temperature does have effect on ozone. So there is a R library called LM test, and we called that LM test, and in the air quality data set and we compute the, we fit the Granger in the LM test library. There is a function called Granger test. We can call this ozone 2 will be followed as a function of temperature, and order is 1. So basically lag, we have taken only one lag, and Granger test is like ozone itself up to 1, and temperature takes lag only up to 1. This is the alternate model, and the null model is only with ozone against the null, its own lag 1 model. So it is AR1 model basically. And when we do the f test clearly p-value is very small and it rejects the null. So basically it rejects the null hypothesis. So it indicates, at least in the AR1 model, or Granger causal model, order 1 Granger causal model does have a reject the null, and it means temperature does have an effect on the ozone. Then I tried with the order 2 Granger causal model with order 2, and that also reject the null. Then the question arises, shall I take the Granger causal model of order 2 up to lag order 2, or lag 1 is good enough? So what I did, I calculated the AIC of the model with order 1 and AIC with the model of order 2, and turns out that the AIC with the model of order 2 has 750, which is quite a bit below the AIC of the model 1. So according to model selection criteria of Akiaki information criteria, model 2 is better model than the model 1. So we would definitely choose the Granger causal model up to order 2 than order 1. So now you can ask me, what about order 3, order 4, order 5? I'm leaving that for you to try it out. And with this, I'm stopping here for this week. Next week, we will do some hands on. For now, have a nice weekend. Good day.